Happy Wednesday, May 6th. Looking at the schedule here, and we're still in week 2, and we're going to look at shelter and accommodations specifically. On Monday, we looked at income and calculating your gross and net take-home pay. And today's Wednesday, so here we go with shelter and accommodations. So page 5 to 7. Make sure you've read them over before we start. You pause it and go back and read it if you haven't yet. First step, gonna have to find Craigslist. I suggest Google. It's probably the easiest. Type in Craigslist. Here we are. Next step is going to be making sure that we're searching in British Columbia. On the right side here, you'll see. And then Vancouver. That's the closest big city to us. Now, you could just search all housing, but what I suggest you do instead is you look for this apartments category. You're going to want to find a place that's close to where you work, so your commute is easy. So what I did here is I put in the postal code there of Queen Elizabeth Secondary to make sure I'm looking in this neighborhood. You're going to come across some weird stuff. Some listings that are saying fully furnished weekly or daily, like they're literally renting rooms out of their house for a day to people, which is sort of strange. Also some sketchy sounding lonely people ads looking for women to live in their house. And basement suites sometimes that sound really good and they have some good pictures. And then you read the ad and the rent's not too expensive here if you split it with one other person because it's 2-bedroom. But then it basically says no, you're not allowed to make any noise. And there's no laundry facilities even though it's a full house. So strange. It's really important that you find a place that's not too expensive and is in the right neighborhood. This is a photo taken way back in the early 90s in my first place I rented. And we really wanted a place that was close to the beach and it was a real fun place for friends to hang out. But to be honest, we couldn't really afford it. We were working full-time and extra hours to get overtime pay and split the rent between a friend. And yeah, we just couldn't really afford it. We only lasted a few months before we had to move. You're really going to need to read them carefully, but I have found, as I always do, some reasonable ones. You'll notice this one talks about that you have your own independent temperature control, so even though it's in a basement, you're not going to be cold in the winter. It also talks about how convenient it is to, get to places. It also says that hydro and cable are included. And it mentions that you have a brand new high efficiency washer and dryer as well. So you're not going to have to calculate any laundry expenses other than just buying some soap. So that's kind of convenient. It sounds like a totally reasonable situation. Another ad here, this one a little less, but still well under $1,000 a month. And this one says it even includes Wi-Fi as well. And both of these are 1-bedrooms. Now, something to consider here is shared accommodation, where you decide that you're going to share a place. But as you can see on the assignment, it's very important that you only share it by how many bedrooms there are. But if you look here, I've done the math. The rent on this 4-bedroom place divided by 4 people for the 4 bedrooms, it's actually cheaper than the 1-bedrooms at $562 a month. Okay, you're going to need to take some time to find just the right listing for what you're looking for that's going to be right for you. And this is good practice for the real world. I've actually even had students that have used this experience and then found a new place for their family to live based on what they learned from this unit because their family just happened to need to move. So this is real life skills. Please be very diligent and read the assignment carefully. Look at page 7. I try and set you up for success right away here by carefully detailing how to label your files so that you won't lose them and you'll be able to keep track of all this stuff as we put this whole budget unit together, which isn't due until the end of the month. Also have a look at page 15, where once you have your ad and you've figured out exactly what your monthly rent is going to be, and you've got it all saved in files, you can then enter it here on page 15 under the shelter or accommodation category under expenses. And this is the first of our expenses. On Monday, when we looked at your gross and net take-home pay, that was income. Now we know what your income is. This is the first of a number of expenses that we're going to have to collect listings for and do the math for. And that's it for today. And the next section, as you can see from the schedule, will be Monday. Take care.